Hello everyone and welcome to our channel. My name is Amir Merchant from G.E.M.S Immigration Services. I am a licensed immigration advisor for New Zealand and a former migration agent for Australia, currently based at our head office in Auckland. Before we begin, here is something most students don't realize. A large number of New Zealand student visa applications are either delayed or refused, not because of finances, not because of documents, but simply because of misunderstanding the English language requirement. And here is the surprising part. Many students think just passing an English test is enough. That is not always true. In this video, I am going to break down the exact English language requirements for a New Zealand student visa based on the latest rules and how Immigration New Zealand actually assesses them in real cases. I will also explain the hidden factors that most people ignore which can directly impact your visa outcome. So make sure you watch this video till the end because one small misunderstanding here can cost you your visa. Now let's get started. First, let's understand a very important point. Unlike some other countries, New Zealand student visa English requirements are not always a fixed single rule. They depend on three key factors: your course level, your education provider, and your individual background. If you understand these three clearly, you will avoid most problems. Now let's start with the first one. Course level. Different levels of study in New Zealand require different levels of English. For example, if you are applying for a diploma or certificate level course, the English requirement is usually lower compared to a bachelor's or master's degree. Higher level qualifications generally require higher English proficiency because the academic complexity is greater. Now, here is where many students make a mistake. They assume that meeting the minimum score is enough. Technically, yes, but practically, your overall application must still make sense. Now, moving to the second factor, your education provider. In New Zealand, most education providers are approved by the New Zealand Qualifications Authority. These providers set their own English language requirements within acceptable guidelines. This means two different institutions may ask for slightly different scores for the same level of course, so always check your specific offer of place carefully because your visa application will be assessed based on that. Now let's move to the third factor, your personal background. This is where things get interesting. Immigration New Zealand looks at your entire profile, not just your test score. They assess whether your English level is sufficient for you to successfully complete your course. This is part of what is known as the genuine student assessment. So even if you meet the minimum score, if your overall profile does not align, it may raise concerns. Now let's talk about how you can prove your English language ability. There are generally two main ways. The first is through an approved English language test. The second is through alternative evidence. Let's start with the most common method, English tests. Accepted tests typically include IELTS, PTE Academic, TOEFL, and sometimes Cambridge English. Each test has its own scoring system, but they are broadly equivalent. For example, IELTS is the most commonly used. Now here is an important insight. You do not need the highest score possible. You only need to meet the requirements set by your course and institution. However, your score must be consistent across all bands. A very low score in one band can create problems even if your overall score looks acceptable. Now here is a retention trigger you should pay attention to. A higher English score does not automatically guarantee visa approval, but a weak English score can definitely contribute to refusal. So think of English as a threshold requirement, not a competitive advantage. Now let's talk about alternative ways to meet English requirements. In some cases, you may not need to take an English test at all. For example, if you have studied in English for a certain number of years, or if your previous qualification was taught in English, this may be accepted. Similarly, if you are from an English-speaking country, you may be exempt. However, this is not automatic. You must provide proper evidence, and more importantly, your education provider must accept it because your offer of place must clearly state that you meet their English requirement. Now, here is a common mistake. Students submit a medium of instruction certificate and assume that is enough. But if the institution or immigration officer is not satisfied, your application can be delayed or questioned. So always confirm this with your institution before applying. Now let's talk about English requirements specifically for English language courses. If you are applying to study an English language course itself, you generally do not need to show high English proficiency. However, you still need to demonstrate that you are a genuine student and meet all other visa conditions. Now, here is something very important that most people ignore. English language requirement is not just about entry, it is also about progression. If your plan is to study English first and then move to a higher level course, your pathway must make sense. Immigration New Zealand may look at your current English level and your future study plans together. If there is a mismatch, it can raise concerns. Now let's talk about documents related to English requirements. You must submit clear and valid test results if applicable. Make sure your test is still valid at the time of application. Most English tests are valid for 2 years. Expired test results will not be accepted. If you are using alternative evidence, such as previous education, you must provide transcripts, certificates, and proof that the course was taught in English. All documents must be clear, consistent, and verifiable. Now, here is a very important retention trigger. Do not manipulate or misrepresent your English evidence. Immigration New Zealand conducts verification checks. Any inconsistency can lead to refusal and may affect future applications. Now, let's talk about how English ties into visa approval. Your English level directly impacts your ability to meet visa conditions. For example, attendance, academic progress, and compliance. If Immigration New Zealand believes you may struggle due to low English proficiency, they may question your genuine intentions to study, and that can lead to refusal. Now let's go through the most common mistakes applicants make. Number 1, choosing the wrong test or outdated test format. Number 2, not meeting individual band requirements. Number 3, relying on medium of instruction without proper confirmation. Number 4, submitting expired test results. Number 5, mismatch between English level and course level. If you avoid these 5 mistakes, your chances improve significantly. Now let's do a quick real-world example. If a student is applying for a master's degree but has a very low English score or inconsistent academic background, this raises a red flag. But if the same student first applies for an English pathway course and then progresses, that creates a logical and strong profile. This is what immigration officers look for: consistency and credibility. Now let's quickly summarize everything so you have a clear understanding. First, English requirements depend on your course level, institution, and profile. Second, you can meet the requirement through tests or alternative evidence. Third, your English must align with your study plan. Fourth, documentation must be accurate and valid. And finally, your overall profile must demonstrate that you are a genuine student. If you follow these principles, your application will be much stronger. Now, before we wrap up, here is one final insight. English is not just a visa requirement, it is a success requirement. Your ability to study, work part-time, and settle in New Zealand depends heavily on your communication skills. So do not treat English as just a checkbox. Treat it as an investment in your future. Thank you once again for watching this video. I hope you found this information useful and practical. If you need any assistance with your New Zealand student visa application or want a professional assessment of your profile, you can contact us anytime by calling or sending a message on our WhatsApp number +642217860007, which is also provided in the comment section below. We will get back to you as soon as possible. We will be back again with another important update very soon. Until then, stay safe, stay informed, and most importantly, stay ahead. Take care.